I agree with the president's point that we're not putting American combat troops back into Syria or Iraq. We are not going to do that.
Under no circumstances would you not do that?
Well, at this point, I cannot conceive of any circumstances where I would agree to do that. We don't know yet how many special forces might be needed, how many trainers and surveillance and enablers might be needed. But in terms of thousands of combat troops, like some on the Republican side are recommending, I think that should be a non-starter. And it should be a non-starter both because I don't think it's the smartest way to go after ISIS. I think it gives ISIS a new recruitment tool.
Welcome back to Hannity, and we continue with 2016 Republican presidential candidate Senator Ted Cruz. You just heard Hillary Clinton basically agreeing with Barack Obama, who said American leadership isn't just about U.S. ground troops fighting ISIS. Can we defeat ISIS without ground troops the way they're discussing?
Well, it is abundantly clear that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton can't defeat ISIS because they have no intention of even trying. They won't even acknowledge the enemy. I mean, Hillary Clinton at the last Democratic debate went out of her way to refuse to say the words radical Islamic terrorism. What we need, Sean, yes, we can defeat ISIS with a strong commander-in-chief. If I am elected president, I will make unequivocally clear to the world, we will destroy ISIS. Now, how can we do so? We should do so, number one, with overwhelming air power. You know, in the first Persian Gulf War, we launched roughly 1,100 air attacks a day. For 37 days, pulverized the Iraqi army. It then took 36 hours for our troops to mop up what was left of them. Right now, today, Obama's launching between 15 and 30 air attacks a day. It's a pinprick. It's a photo op foreign policy. And the second thing we ought to be doing is arming the Kurds. The Kurds are fighting ISIS. They are our allies. They are effective fighters. The Kurds are, in a very real sense, our boots on the ground. And yet the Obama administration, and Hillary Clinton is sadly in this mix, they refuse to arm the Kurds for political reasons because it would upset Baghdad. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, let me ask you about the establishment. There's been a lot written and talked about in this campaign about insurgent candidacies. Yours, obviously, now is on the rise. You have great numbers in Iowa, New Hampshire, and your numbers have gone up pretty dramatically nationally, and Donald Trump says you guys are going to be fighting pretty soon. But more importantly, I hear that establishment talk, and there was a big donor meeting at a big fancy hotel in California, that if an insurgent candidate wins the primary, that they may fund and help Hillary Clinton. What is your reaction to that?
Well, look, it indicates what is wrong with Washington. People are fed up with what I call the Washington cartel. As you know, this summer I wrote a book called A Time for Truth, where I talk a great deal about the Washington cartel, the career politicians in both parties who get in bed with the lobbyist and the special interest and grow and grow and grow government. And those folks are very dismayed that a president might come in who is actually a conservative, who will stop the corporate welfare. Listen, there's a reason, Sean, that the lobbyists are all supporting Hillary Clinton and Marco Rubio. There's a reason the lobbyists are not supporting my campaign, because they understand in Washington. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, listen, Ronald Reagan was viewed as an outsider. He wasn't particularly loved by the establishment, and nor was Newt Gingrich, who's going to join us in a minute. Let me ask this question. We had this tragedy, Planned Parenthood shooting. You weighed in on it in a couple of ways. Negative and hateful speech allowed this to happen was a headline in the New York Daily News. I want you to react to that.
Well, with regard to the shooting in Planned Parenthood, what happened there was a horrific crime. I mean, it was a deranged killer who murdered 3 people, murdered a police officer, murdered 2 innocent civilians, injured others. And our prayers should be with their families. And it is a terrible crime. And I have to say, it was really sad to see the media falling all over themselves to try to politicize this, to try to use this as an avenue to attack conservatives. And it really shows the media bias of the mainstream media, where they're so excited to paint anyone who believes in the right to life as somehow being a murderer. Listen, I am unapologetically pro-life. That means protecting the right of every human being from conception to natural death as a gift from God. That means I'm against murderers like this individual murderer, and that's something the media has a very hard time understanding.
All right, Senator, good to see you as always, and we look forward to having you on often. Thank you. Appreciate it. When we come back, Former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, he's here. He'll weigh in on the 2016 GOP field. Then later, Jeb Bush taking heat for comparing Herman Cain's 2012 run to Donald Trump's current White House bid. Herman Cain is here to respond. All of that and much more tonight as Hannity continues.